We have with us Dr. Muda Yusuf to shed more light on this issue concerning the scarcity of Naira and what exactly is going on. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
So good to have you join us on the show today.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, sir, just by introduction, you're the Chief Executive Officer, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPP, and you'll be one of the perfect people to help us understand what's happening. Could you give us, in a nutshell, what you think is the cause of this scarcity?
Well, my suspicion is that there has been a major disruption in the supply of cash. And I think it is the responsibility of the central bank to trace that. Because from the data we have, there has not been any significant change in terms of the currency in circulation. There is no policy, that is targeted at reducing the amount of cash, unlike what you had early in the year. Currency in circulation is between 2.7 to 3 trillion naira. And that was the situation even before the crisis of the Naira redesign. So there was no cause for this kind of scarcity, unless there has been some disruption along the line. And from some of the information we are getting, the banks are not getting enough cash from the central bank. So something must have disrupted the system. And I think it's the responsibility of the CBN to trace where this is coming from.
Dr. Yusuf, please, I want to confirm, because you said that there's been we don't have any data saying there's a disruption with the cash in circulation. So in terms of liquidity, we still have the cash in the country is still the cash in the country. Nobody has packed up the money to put somewhere. You are saying that the disruption in the flow of cash currently is from the CBN. Some people are saying the CBN is saying that it is from the customers, that the customers are holding money and not paying it to the bank. So do we have data backing up that the CBN isn't giving them money, or that the customers are not dropping money in the bank, so that we know where we are, who exactly is responsible?
Well, normally, because from what we heard from some of the banks, there are, regular supply of cash that they normally get from the central bank, which is not coming as it used to be. It is also possible that customers are holding, but for what reason? Because it doesn't sound logical. Why will customers be holding cash? The only reason perhaps could have been that, okay, maybe because of the Supreme Court judgment of, sometimes after the crisis of the Naira redesign, that says that by December, the old notes will not be tenable, but that has been vacated. So there is no basis for this. It's not logical. Why will anybody be keeping cash for what? To achieve what? So again, it's very difficult to comprehend. To achieve what? So that is why I'm saying that there is need for more thorough investigation of what is happening.
Okay.
There's need for more thorough investigation.
All right. So,
I believe the CBN is also doing something, investigating. But how long do you think, if they were to come out with a final result on where the disruption started, how long do you think it should take them?
Well, it's not something that should take time, because we have data on the amount of currency. We have the data on the movement of currency from the central bank to the bank. We have data on how regularly the customers deposit cash. From that, within a few weeks, you should be able to put your fingers on where the problem is coming from. And in any case, this is our own local currency. We are not talking about foreign currency.
Dr. Yusuf,
we need to print more. Why not?
Dr. Yusuf, there's a theory that many Nigerians are the ones holding the cash in whether their vaults or they're keeping cash just because they are preempting a situation whereby there might be scarcity. If this is the case, talking hypothetically now, how do you think CBN can ensure that they are forced to deposit? Because we heard the reports that banks are complaining that depositors are not bringing the funds.
Well, no, CBN has taken some steps already. Normally, there is some kind of penalty or the amount of fees you pay for you to deposit some cash. Just this week or last week, the CBN has removed that.
Today.
Just to encourage more people to put cash in the system. So what the CBN can do is just that kind of incentive, that kind of policy statement. Beyond that, the only thing the CBN can do is just to make sure that we print more currency and make it available. It's not going to endanger anything. We already make a lot of progress in terms of cashless transactions. Even in the marketplace, a lot of people now take transfers. Retailers, we have a lot of progress has been made. As of 2022, cashless transaction or electronic transaction was over 1,500 trillion naira. Electronic transfer, in terms of electronic payment, we have made a lot of progress. So this is a very strange development, but I don't think it's something that the CBN should allow to create any serious disruption.
Let me get in a few more questions for you. Go ahead, Waki.
Sir, do you think the Naira has finished?
Naira cannot finish. We are the owner of the Naira.
Amen.
We print the Naira. This one is not dollar. So Naira cannot finish. It's our own currency.
Dr. Yusuf, let me ask about the impact of printing new money. We all know that when the government prints money to solve whatever problem in the economy, there's an increase in inflation. And we're already fighting a very inflationary economy. So would the solution be to increase should CBN be printing more funds into the economy based on what? And how long do you, based on you have the more data than I do, so I can expect that you will know the time frame for CBN to print more notes. Do you think printing more notes is a solution? How would that impact on the economy?
No, it's not going to have any significant impact. You see, the printing of money that can hurt the economy is when you print money that is not backed by any production or anything. But this one, you are printing so that you can allow, it's not going to increase money supply as such. It is when you print outside the money supply, then you increase the money supply. But when you print, it's just a question of changing the proportion of cash as a proportion of money supply. Right now, the total money supply in the economy, that is including cash, money that people have in the bank, money that people have in fixed deposits, is anywhere between 45 to 50 trillion. The cash component of money is just about 3 trillion. So if we increase that cash component to maybe 4 trillion just to take care of this scarcity, it's not going to hurt the economy.
All right.
What the problem is with printing of money is when the CBN begins to credit the government account with trillions of naira. Without any productivity, that is what creates inflation.
Dr. Muda, you say
high-powered money. Yeah.
Right. Let me pick your brain a bit about what I read in the papers this morning concerning some of the key multinationals that are leaving our country. PZ Cousins, GlaxoSmithKline, Procter & Gamble, and experts are saying we might lose about 5,000 jobs. The economy might lose about 5,000 jobs. What's your own interpretation of this? Some will say it's bad. Others will say maybe to force us to look internally. What are your own thoughts on this?
No, there are a lot of what we call macroeconomic headwinds. That is the challenges that businesses are facing generally. This is not peculiar to these foreign companies. We talk to indigenous companies, particularly businesses that have high foreign exchange exposure. It's a major problem for everybody, not just the multinationals. The multinationals, because of what they are making the headline. But many indigenous companies too have gone under as a result of all these challenges. So it's a question of the macroeconomic environment affecting businesses generally, whether they are foreign, whether they are local. But the impact is proportional to your exposure to foreign exchange. If foreign exchange content of your business is extremely high, the impact will be very severe. If energy consumption is very high, the impact will be very severe. That is what is happening. Secondly, for some of these sectors, the competition has become more intense, especially in the consumer product sector. Some of those that have led, for instance, you need to look at what their market share was 2 years ago and what their market share is today. A lot of other competitors have come into the space, and if you are in an environment and you are not dynamic with your business strategy, you can easily go under. So it's a combination of the macroeconomic environment issue as well as the inability of companies, some companies, to be flexible enough to reach the environment and adjust quickly to the changing market landscape.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Okay, so I like that you mentioned is how dependent your business is on forex that, you know, this affects that business. Some of these raw materials that these companies use, take for instance Procter & Gamble, some of the raw materials they use or they need are locally sourced. So why is dollar still affecting those businesses?
No, the percentage of raw materials they use will be close to 80%. Yes, if you check it, it will be close to 80%. So that is why the shock on them is so much. You know, and they have established here for a long time. They have very big structures. Their overhead is heavy.
Very heavy.
Unlike the new entrance into the business now, if you go to the shelf, you see all manner of diapers and things, different brands.
Yeah.
These are competition. And when the competition pressure is very heavy, if your overhead is big and you are not very flexible in your management, then you have challenges.
Okay.
So, you know, on a policy level, do you think that the policy response of the government is appropriate for the kind of crisis that we're facing economically? I'm talking both regarding the CBN cash change, which is they said that they have already lifted they've lifted the fees that we usually have to pay to make deposits up until April, as well as the response of the combined Minister of Economy concerning the fact that governments, private companies, big companies are moving their production out and turning Nigeria into a largely import-based economy.
No, the big issue is for the government to create the environment that supports production, because that is the big problem. I mean, look at GSK now. They stopped production, they started importing. Even before they finally exited, they have stopped their production for a long time. Now, the same model is what is being adopted now by Procter & Gamble. And what this is telling us is that the environment is not sufficiently supportive of those who are in production. So we need to do a lot more.
What policies would you advise?
Yes.
What policies would you advise, sir? Obviously, we don't have the right policies that is encouraging it. How do you think the government should approach this? What would you say the first 3-4 things they should do to make our economy more...
infrastructure.
Okay.
I mean, you cannot industrialize, you cannot produce if you don't have infrastructure, especially power. Secondly, we also need the fiscal policy to be able to protect those who are producing locally. Because if it simply becomes very cheap to import than to produce, those who are producing will not be able to survive.
Number one.
The fiscal policy must protect them. Then you have the issue of logistics. I mean, you produce, you want to distribute around the country, look at the state of the roads. You don't have the rail network to easily move things around. The cost of logistics is high. Then the cost of energy. I mean, look at the cost of diesel, look at the cost of ATMs. All of this is because we are importing all these petroleum products. So if we're able to progress with all these local refineries and so on, that will also help us to deal with some of these challenges.
So, I mean, sir, let me be sure I get, because it's important for our viewers to have a better understanding, because we have regular Nigerians who listen to the show and they want to, they need us to be able to break down complex and intricate government policies. So from what Nigerians are thinking, okay, so Dangote Refinery should receive its load last week Friday. They should start producing. When they start producing, hopefully, according to many Nigerians are thinking, that means we don't have to keep importing so many, and so there's so much refined crude, right? If we do that, that secures some of our dollars. I'm just thinking, hypothetically speaking now. Now, if that happens, would that therefore be able to invest in some of this infrastructure that you are asking? You are saying that government, we need infrastructure to help build businesses and produce and manufacture goods. Because many of these companies that are here, they're also a bit of a strain on this dollar that we don't have. So is there a silver lining with the fact that these big companies are leaving? Because the truth is that we can't even afford to have them anymore. Now let's look within and start building our own PZ cousins and start building our own GlaxoSmithKline, having our own companies where it's now grown locally.
Repatriate the money.
How would that help?
No, it's going to help a great deal. If, for instance, we are able to be self-sufficient in terms of petroleum products, for instance, you know, on a monthly basis, we spend close to $1 billion or more on the importation of petroleum products. So imagine we're able to conserve that domestically, you know, between the Dangote refinery and all the government refineries. That will ease the pressure on forex. You know, the forex situation is something that has affected practically all businesses. So if we're able to ease that, I mean, that will go a long way. Then beyond that, when these refineries work, many of these raw materials that we also import, because the problem with our manufacturing sector is that we are also highly import dependent in manufacturing, which is also a major shortcoming in the structure of our industrialization. But the beauty of manufacturing is that you are able to source significantly your raw material. So locally. So if you have these refineries working, you have the petrochemicals, all these people who produce the chemical products, plastic products, packaging products, a lot of these things and a lot of these things come from petrochemicals. So we're able to conserve all of that, to be able to reduce pressure on forex, to be able to be more competitive globally.
Right.
Because the beauty of an economy is not just about your domestic market, it's also about your ability to export. So that you can scale. Your scale can increase, your cost of production can drop.
All right.
So these things are interrelated, and they have a way of ensuring that you have a much better economy.
All right. All right, let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll try to wrap up this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. Sir, are you still there? Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so we're going to be wrapping up on this, but final question. Go ahead.
So we have someone saying you can't hoard something that is abundantly available. Talking to Tokwe Ehi. He says hoarding only makes a bad situation worse. Sir, do you think people are hoarding this cash, or that there's no cash in circulation?
There's no cash.
The point is that there is no logic in hoarding it. Why would anybody hoard it? So I believe that there is still a major issue with supply from the source.
Oh, good.
I think so. Because it doesn't make sense to hoard, you hoard the cash to do what? To achieve what?
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. Unless there's a deliberate effort to sabotage the system. That is the only way we can explain that. Because there's nothing to gain. You hoard cash to achieve what? So I don't believe so much in the theory of this hoarding.
All right. Let me let you go, Dr. Amuda Yusuf. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your insights on this matter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's take a few comments on social media before we wrap up on this segment.
Franklin,
Do you have any? Go ahead.
Franklin Benjamin says, I don't agree that this cash crunch is a policy issue. The same policy has been in play all year long. We should not always blame government and regulatory agencies for everything. Let's call out the merchant banks and the POS operators. He again says, once the CBN started moves to settle its obligations and reassure investors.
Corey Michael says, I was a banker back in 2010. A bank that relies on customers' deposits to run operations are not serious. There are other ways banks source for cash loans. Murtala Akoni says, last year a lot of lives got lost while a series of businesses collapsed. As a result of this menace, they have started again.
Okay. Any other ones, okay?
Yes, so we have people saying that they are shocked by what is happening. Some are saying they're not shocked by what is happening. I'm seeing Dame Ebika says the economy will keep crashing if we don't produce. Nigeria depends so much on import and it's bad.
Let me take this call.
Ghanaian says, okay.
Good morning. Hello, you're there. Ade, thanks for calling. You're live.
Yes, I know. What I want to say is this, Mariah, if somebody has headache and and they go to doctor, when I took malaria tablet, it won't cure it. Last year, I appealed to you on TVC. We invite central bank governor or the deputy. Why do we need to give 2 references to open an account? You say your producer will do it. You all had you. You never did anything. Today you are inviting Dr. Muda. He can't solve the problem. Invite central bank governor or the deputy. We have a lot of questions.
Thank you.
I agree with Ade that you should look into the 2 referral policy to open an account. You know, I couldn't even finish opening my corporate account with a particular bank. I got 1 referral. It has to be a corporate referral. And I got 1. You that you want to open account, Kukuma get the next one. They made it tough. And they said later that I had an incomplete account opening issue because of that referral issue. And I don't have a corporate account.
Minatipi says, anyone who doesn't have a problem with people holding cash shouldn't complain about being overcharged by POS operators or being unable to withdraw at banks. Then Corey Michael says, Tokwe, I put it to you that you cannot afford to live a cashless life. Then Fiona says, must something always be scarce in Nigeria?
A beef is not fuel, it's be...
It's not fuel.
It's not fuel,
electricity. Scarce. Cash with scarce.
That's the real key question. Must there always be some
People are calling me out for saying that people are holding cash based on what Dr. Muda said. Well, I did not say people are holding cash based on my own intel. I'm saying people are holding cash based on what the CBN put out in the newspapers as the reason they didn't have cash in the banks. So...
No, CBN is even saying that, listen, there's no reason that there shouldn't be cash because all the commercial banks have enough cash. Commercial bank haven't come out to say I don't have, but for whatever reason, they're not giving us cash. So we're suspecting who else will be holding cash. It's probably Nigerians who are holding cash. Maybe not you watching, but there are other Nigerians who probably have cash, who can afford it. They have mansions, they have vaults in their houses. they are keeping the money in their house for whatever reason. Because CBN is saying there's no reason for these banks not to have. Banks have not come out to say anything, but they'll say I don't have cash. So who is lying? We have to wrap up on this.
This is how they started last year. Please, that is on my own. Say, if this Naira don't finish, they should tell us so make we know what we go do.
All right, that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, move on to our final Let's Talk. Stay with us. We'll be right back.